good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, I had a voice of radio. So today, we're going to be having a look at how Unown Hand can actually work in the standard format. I know, right? We get to look at Unown. People like Unown. People like my Unown videos. They've gone down very well. They've been amongst my more popular videos. And what that tells me is these are incredibly popular cards that people want to see more and more of, and they want to see them working. Now, the deck list I'm sharing with you today did come from the lovely David Hockman. I will try and find the source of it before I upload the video. I cannot promise, but I will add it in as soon as I know. Now, to be fair, this isn't necessarily an Unown Hand deck. It doesn't have to be an Unown Hand deck. We've actually got a lot of different options here. It is another one of these stall decks, a wall deck, if you will. But, you know, Unown Hand comes in as well. And what's really cool is yesterday or the day before, I don't really know, right? There's a lot of new cards being revealed lately, but it was a recent video I did where it turned out the Regigigas was actually kind of good. Well, this deck also plays Regigigas. It's a stall deck, but it's got Unown Hand, and the theory here is kind of simple. Ha, you can't KO me. Oh, while you're not able to KO me, I'm just going to kind of collect all these cards in my hand, and I'm not going to bother playing them if I don't need to. And then if I end up with enough cards in hand to announce that I win the game, yay! And if I don't, boo, etc. So, we did a look at the Regigigas deck the other day. I'll pop a link to that one in the description. So we're going to flick through some of these walls a little bit quicker because we talked about them recently. Regigigas has 180 HP and is a basic Pokemon. Yeah, the weakness isn't ideal because it's weak to Buzzwole and Lycanroc. But you know what? If you're not playing against one of those decks, it doesn't really matter. It's still big. It's still bulky. It's still rather spiffingly good. We also see Hooper here. Hooper just blocks attacks from GX and EX Pokemon. Blacephalon's pretty good. Oh, look. In comes Hooper. And yes, I am fully aware that Blacephalon decks also play Naganadel. They have a non-GX attacker. Here's the thing though. Hooper's got 120 HP and a resistance to Psychic, and Naganadel does 80 damage, which means that they're 2-hit KOing you if you don't heal, and you're 2-hit KOing them, except you've got plenty of other things to be rolling with. So, you know, if you find yourself against a Naganadel, you can just wall with something else. As a side note, I say 2-hit KO, and you're not really playing any energy here. We see one copy of Shuckle, which you can actually use because there is a single rainbow energy. And the great thing about Shuckle here is that your opponent can only attack it if they've got free energy on. If they don't have free energy, they can't attack it. And oh yeah, you play energy tonight. More on that in a moment. We then see Articuno GX. I know, right? It's just like it was in the previous deck. One rainbow energy so that you can use Cold Crush GX. You discard the rainbow energy from this, nobody cares, and all the energy of your opponent's active Pokemon, which is going to be way more devastating to them than it is going to be to you. So actually, this sounds pretty gosh darn good to me. And the new one we have here, there's no Genesect GX, but we do see Wishy-Washy. And Wishy-Washy GX here is kind of simple. It's a basic with 210 HP. It is basically a Genesect GX of a metal frying pan already attached. It's really quite nice. It's really a good card. Big and bulky. And that's what you do. You've got Regigigas and Wishy-Washy, who are just plain bulky. Hooper blocks GXs. Shuckle blocks Pokemon with less than free energy attached. And then, of course, if they attach lots of energy, in comes Articuno. And then we've got Unown Hand. You're not always going to get Unown Hand working. Unown Hand is not some perfect card here that's going to win you game after game after game. You win if you've got 35 or more cards in hand. The thing is, against a lot of decks, you're going to be able to roll with this. And you're not going to need that many cards. And if you can not play that many cards, you can take advantage with Unown Hand. But actually, there's something else at play here. And this is really going to warrant its own video in the future. But we see Lusamine. Some people are starting to think that Lusamine's a problem. Here's the problem. You could call it Lusamine. Because you just get to put 2 supporters back into your hand. But one of them can be a Lusamine, or both of them can be a Lusamine. So you just keep getting supporters back, keep getting supporters back, keep getting supporters back. Firstly, this means you have infinite access to the disruption supporters we're going to look at in a moment. But also, it means that you can play 1 card to get 2 back. You always essentially have access to the supporters you want. And Lusamine keeps looping. We're going to look at this more in a future video, but for now, just know that this means you never run out of supporters. Now, Palpad gets supporters back, but then it's gone. Lusamine can get Lusamine and a supporter you want. And then the next Lusamine can get Lusamine and a supporter you want, and you can just make sure you never run out of the supporters you want here. That's pretty gosh darn good. Now, in terms of these disruption supporters, we see Plumeria. Discard 2 cards from your hand and discard an energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. Look, obviously this goes against Unown Hand. You're basically playing 3 cards in one go. That's not ideal. But sometimes you just need to get rid of their energy. So you know what? This'll have to do. We have Team Skull Grunts that takes energy out of their hand, which is pretty useful. Sometimes they'll be stashing energy in their hand, waiting to attach it. This gets rid of it. And oh yeah, we have Faber, which puts special energy tools and stadiums into the Lost Zone. And you can keep reusing it with Lusamine. And it puts it into the Lost Zone. So if you're against a special energy heavy deck, Faber away their energy, build up a big hand, run them out of energy, Unown Hand, yay! I win the game. Now, there are some other supporters we see here. We've got Ace Roller. It's a stall deck. You're not taking prizes. You're trying to prevent KOs. Ace Roller's pretty important. We see Gladion, because Gladion gets stuff out the prizes. You play a bunch of one-offs here, you might need it. We play Guzma to drag something into the active, which is pretty good. The reason we only play 1 is because we have Counter Catcher. You're not taking prizes. You're going to be behind on prizes. Counter Catcher's pretty sweet. We see Cynthia, because it's the best draw card in the format. And we see Steven's Resolve, because it lets you search for any free cards. It ends your turn. No one cares, because you're ending your turn without attacking anyway. And then, of course, we've got the aforementioned Lusamine, which we've already talked about. There are a couple of stadiums here, and they're actually Mount Lanakila. Because, as we've mentioned, you are playing Counter Catcher. Mount Lanakila increases the retreat cost of basics. So the theory here is you keep a basic in the active and then stop them retreating. You get rid of all their energy while increasing their retreat cost. And what's awesome about this is that you don't have to deck out your opponent. And really, if we try and build it all up, the thing that Unown Hand does beautifully here is it basically says, all right, maybe they're not decking out as fast as you'd like them to, but actually it's not the end of the world because, well, if you get enough cards in hand, you still win. It's true. You do, ladies and gentlemen. It gives you an alternate win condition if they're not decking out as fast as you would like. Now, there is actually one other card we see here, which I don't remember ever seeing in a competitive deck. It's Ancient Crystal. You can attach it to a Regirock, Regice, Registeel, or Regigigas, and you take 30 less damage from your opponent's attacks. It's kind of like Metal Frying Pan, but only for the Reggies. Well, you're playing a bunch of Reggies. Now, it doesn't take away your weakness, unfortunately, but I love that there's actually a deck out there with Ancient Crystal in. Now, in terms of the rest of the cards, it's largely what you would expect at this stage. We see both Crushing Hammer and Enhanced Hammer played in large numbers to try and get rid of energy. We see Max Potion, which goes along with Ace Roller to make sure you're constantly healing. Yes, you have to discard all the energy attached to your Pokemon, but it doesn't matter because there's no energy attached. You play one energy to attach it to Articuno to immediately discard it. You should never have any energy on any of your Pokemon here. We see Choice Helmet, which reduces damage done by EXs and GXs by 30. Really nice because you need bulk and survivability here. And then we see 2 Rescue Stretcher to get your Pokemon back, which you might need to do. 1 copy of Switch. I mean, you've got Guzma and Lusamine to reuse Guzma, but Switch is still nice. And then 1 copy of Nest Ball. It's the only Pokemon search we play in the entire deck because we've got Steven's Resolve. And that will help us out quite nicely indeed. It's also how we can get away with playing only a single copy of Switch because Steven's Resolve will search it out if we need it. I'm fully aware that there are a bunch of similarities between this and the deck we looked at a day or 2 ago. But firstly, there's just weird cards like the Regigigas tool that I had to mention here. Ancient Crystal in a real deck. Oh, that makes me so happy. But also, the presence of Unown Hand here. And I'm interested to see whether this is going to become a thing. I am interested to see whether Unown Hand is going to make its way into more stall decks as a kind of, well, I don't have to wait for them to deck out, I can just get enough cards in my hand kind of thing. The Lusamine discussion we will come back to. That is a bigger discussion than we have time for in this particular video. But right now, I want to hear what you guys think about this deck. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please do remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, other than checking out youtube.com/whatsplays, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.